Perkins, class of 1963, grew up on a farm in Orrington. He had never played organized sports until a friend taunted him, stating he was not tough enough and too scared to try out for the Brewer football team. Proving his friend wrong, the 6'1", 180-pound sophomore tried out as a tight end, even though he didn't know what the position entailed or even how to secure a helmet. But he had the one innate quality that breeds success on the gridiron: grit. The Brewer coaches were impressed by his tenacity, perseverance, and speed. Perkins made the team. As long as Perkins could keep up with his chores on his family's 480-acre farm, his parents allowed him to play. But that also meant he had to walk home from his daily practices at Doyle Field, 10 miles away. Line coach Jiggs Cicchini saw promise in Perkins, particularly in the offensive guard, tight end, and defensive end positions. Perkins was a quick study, eager to learn. His toughness on the field was unmatched. He was disciplined and a force on the field. His love of football only grew. He never once complained about having to walk the 10 miles home to Perkins Point, often in the dark. It only made him tougher. Through determination and perseverance, Perkins earned his letter that sophomore year and started his junior and senior years. For his talent and hard work as a senior, Perkins was selected as a two-way all-conference guard and defensive end. Perkins also was a standout track athlete for 3 years, winning discus, shot put, javelin, and high jump events meet after meet. He was the leading scorer on the track team his senior year and was considered one of the top performers in the shot put and discus in the Penobscot Valley Conference. But it was on the Brewer football field where Perkins honed his raw skills and where he learned valuable lifelong skills from his coaches, skills that he would one day pass down to his own athletes. Perkins played for Coach Larry Mahaney his sophomore and junior years, and head coach Don Halsapple his senior year. His Brewer coaches were tough on him, yet positive influences on his life, and fostered his deep love of football. Perkins credits these Brewer coaches for encouraging him to go to college, and it was their strong mentorship that inspired him to devote a career to teaching and coaching. Upon Brewer graduation in 1963, Perkins was recruited by legendary coach Harold Westerman and earned a scholarship to play football as an offensive tackle at the University of Maine. He became a starter his junior and senior years. One of the highlights of his collegiate football career was his interception and touchdown against the University of Vermont. Perkins also started on the 1965 team that was Yankee Conference champions, winner of the Lambert Trophy as the best college football team in the East, and played in the Tangerine Bowl in Orlando, Florida. The 1965 football team is still today the only team in UMaine football history to qualify for and participate in an NCAA bowl game. It's no surprise that this extraordinary team was inducted into the UMaine Sports Hall of Fame in 2019. After graduating from the University of Maine in 1967, Perkins took a job as a teacher and an assistant football coach at Stevens High School. At the time, the struggling high school wrestling program needed a coach. The only experience Perkins had in the sport of wrestling was participating in a newly formed intramural wrestling program at Brewer High School his senior year, which was started by his head football coach, Don Halsapple, and a wrestling course he took at the University of Maine. Wanting to be a head coach, Perkins jumped at the opportunity. Young, ambitious, and determined, Perkins went home with a couple of books and learned all he could about the sport. The self-taught Perkins quickly excelled as a coach. He even developed elementary and middle school wrestling feeder programs throughout the Rumford school system. He stressed physical conditioning, mental toughness, teamwork, work ethic, perseverance, dedication, and passion from his athletes, all qualities he learned on the Brewer football team, which ultimately became the foundation of his coaching career. As head wrestling coach, Perkins had 5 undefeated seasons, with a dual meet coaching record of 432 wins, 73 losses, and 7 ties. Of his 5 Class A state championships, Perkins' 1973 state championship wrestling team has been named the best high school wrestling team in Maine sports history. Perkins produced 6 out of the 12 individual state champions in 1973, which was at the time a national record. No other team in Maine had more than one champion, and Perkins had produced half of the champions in the whole state. Perkins built the wrestling program from scratch to a state powerhouse with over 70 wrestlers on his team. His team's success drew national attention when Wrestling USA magazine labeled Rumford the wrestling capital of Maine. Beyond the state champions, Perkins modeled perseverance and sportsmanship. He demanded that his athletes win with humility and lose with dignity. He was and still is revered by the hundreds of athletes he coached. In addition to coaching wrestling in Rumford, Perkins was the head football coach for 10 years. With many victories and hard-fought battles over the years, Perkins' coaching highlight in football was a 1975 victory over undefeated Bangor, just proving, no matter how far away he was from Brewer, once a witch, always a witch. Jerry Perkins' accomplishments on the Brewer football field were impressive, and his impact on the sport of wrestling was profound. We are honored to induct Jerry Perkins into the Brewer Athletic Hall of Fame for football and bestow to this former Brewer graduate the Historical Legacy Award for his outstanding accomplishments and contributions to the sport of wrestling in the state of Maine.